Welcome back. If you've been livid that your property taxes are still rising as your property values plummet, you're going to want to listen to this. The deadline for filing your tax appeal, protesting your assessment for this year, that's this week. Here now with what you need to know is Adam Berkson, co-founder of EasyTaxFix.com. And welcome to the show.
Thanks.
And above all else, there is no shortage right now of people who are unhappy with what they're being taxed to live in the great state of New Jersey.
That's absolutely right. There was a study published in the Daily Record last weekend that said that over 60% of New Jersey homeowners are overassessed. We think the number is closer to 40%, but according to New Jersey's own numbers, only 2% of homeowners are filing appeals.
Does that surprise you, that considering there's been such a huge outcry, not only in New Jersey, but other states as well, but New Jersey still does boast the highest burden in the country, but so does it surprise you that only 2% of people are actually filing these appeals? It
really baffles me, but when I break it down and try to understand why the number is so low, I come to the conclusion that it's because it's complicated in New Jersey. Homeowners' assessments aren't necessarily the full market value of their property. So somebody is assessed at $100,000, they need to apply an equalization rate to their property, which changes every year, in order to get to what the county really thinks their property is worth. So many people are overassessed and they don't know it, and they don't know that you need to go out and get this equalization rate, and you need to apply that to your own assessment and compare it to what you think the property is really worth, and then make the decision of whether you need to appeal. We started our site, EasyTaxFix.com, in order to help homeowners with that task. So we have everyone's assessment, we have all the equalization rates. You come to our website, type in your address, and immediately we'll tell you whether or not we think you should proceed with your appeal. And that's free.
Is it just that it's a daunting task? Do you think that when people hear about, they look at their tax bills, they say, this is ridiculous, we can't believe we're paying so much, our property values really have plummeted, and you know, everything that we're hearing is that they're not going up again, the housing market is still struggling. Is it mostly that people are just intimidated and they don't know where to turn?
I think it's a little bit like that. I think it's mostly just the confusion over whether or not there's savings to be had, and I mean, we think there's well over $1,000 per property. I think a lot of people also think that, you know, this is the government and I'm gonna appeal my taxes and then this isn't going to go anywhere and I'm going to end up having to put a lot of time and effort into this. But according to New Jersey's own statistics, while only 2% of homeowners file appeal, 60% of those homeowners are successful in decreasing their taxes their assessment about 10%, which equates to over $1,000 in taxes.
It's funny you mentioned the government and people thinking that they're not going to really, maybe thinking that they're not going to really get anywhere. Well, in New Jersey, there's been this 2% cap on municipal spending increases and property tax increases, and there are dozens of municipalities that want to go over that 2% increase, that cap now. So does that just add to this whole idea that we're not going to get anywhere?
Taxes and your assessed value are two separate things. So homes need to be assessed fairly, and municipalities need a certain amount of money in order to, you know, pay the firefighters and the police stations. So if they need to raise taxes, they need to raise taxes, but your property should also be assessed fairly so that you're not paying one rate and your neighbor is paying a much lower rate. So one thing I want to mention is that while the state has a 60% success rate, people from our site have actually been successful over 75% of the time.
Now, I do want to mention, because we're speaking about this now, because the deadline is actually this week again. It's April 1st, and you can actually go to the State Department of Labor and Workforce Development, I'm sorry, forgive me, you can go to the State Division of Taxation's website. We talk about jobs in New Jersey so much, it's easy to get the two confused. All right, so you go to the Division of Taxation website and you'll find there the actual form that you need to fill out for the appeal as well. I think we have a graphic of that form right there. And again, with this needs to be in this week. You can't just postmark it and hope that it's in by April 1st. It needs to be in the County Board of Taxation, in the County Taxation's hands by the 1st.
And one of the things about the form, it's a one-page, pretty simple form to fill out. So you'd think you can just do this on your own. The trouble is that the form asks you for comparable sales within your neighborhood, and you might just think, oh, I'll go out to the MLS or I'll go to Zillow and I'll pull some sales. But the rub is that New Jersey has classified close to, it's about 40% of properties in New Jersey as not usable. So whether it's a distressed transaction or a foreclosure or short sale, about 40% of them you can't use. So if you end up using one of these as a comparable sale, your appeal is automatically rejected. So what we do at Easy Tax Fix is we download the entire list and filter out the ones that are not usable so that you're only looking at usable properties when you're going to fill out the form.
Is there a hearing that's involved after you file or no?
In a small number of cases are. Based on the number of people that are overassessed, the state can't handle all of these hearings. So what typically happens is that there's some type of settlement, whether it be over the phone or whether the assessor comes and visits you or whether you're sent a settlement letter in the mail. We're seeing most customers are successful through settlements. If you don't agree with the settlement or your comps don't make any sense, you'll probably end up going into a hearing.
All right, Adam, we're going to have to leave it right there. Thank you so much for joining us. Great information. And if you have any questions or comments about anything in today's show, send them to me at itsyourmoney@news12.com. We'll be right back right after this.